Servus, Matthias here, and this is Singletrack. This week, we continue our journey across the country, and we're checking in with Nancy Kirstein and Karen Lechtenberg from Lennox, South Dakota. I'm embarrassed to admit that my West Coast bias would have never thought there'd be trails or trail runners in South Dakota, but Nancy and Karen not just run trails, but also gather their running community for regular events and races in their region. Races like the ominous named Blood Run, a 3, 6, 12, 24, and 36-hour endurance run on Labor Day weekend on a 1.5-mile loop on a Good Earth farm. I'm told Harold the Pig likes the finish line atmosphere, but is no pig for a podcast. So here are Nancy and Karen without Harold. All right, let's kick off the show. Welcome to Singletrack, Nancy and Karen. You are calling in from, we just talked about it, South Dakota, which to me seems like I have no idea where that even is. I mean, this is my fault. This is my fault, right? I mean, this is one of the big challenges for me as a German now being the producer of the film festival, that I am getting to know all of these areas of the country, which obviously I can put a pin in the map if I search really hard. But I mean, South Dakota Film Festival is going to come to South Dakota. Super exciting. Welcome.
Yes, we're excited too. Yeah. And South Dakota's right in the middle. We're like right in the middle. We're one of the big square states. So, I mean, we kind of all blend together, but, and we're on the eastern side of South Dakota. Yep. Which is the most populated side, but
not the most beautiful.
Not the most beautiful side.
Well, that's okay, I guess. Well, I mean, are there trails in South Dakota? Well, I mean, I want to say I'm sorry, but are there trails in South Dakota?
You know, there are. We have, so on the eastern side of the state, we're real flat. And then you cross the river and you head out to what we call West River here in South Dakota, which is the Black Hills area. And they have beautiful kind of world-class trails out there, world-class rock climbing. It's beautiful. So we're definitely flatlanders on this side of the state. But
we still have some trails.
We still have trails, yeah. And we're working on it. We're like, the community around us is building more trails. We're getting access to different pieces of land that they're building trails on, which is great.
If you say getting access, are those trails and built on private land, or is that sort of a, you know, public national forest? Or I don't know who owns lands in your neck of the woods. How does this work?
Yeah, so there are a couple of state parks that have actually just been either gifted or they've acquired more land around them. On this side of the state, we don't have a ton of, again, nice geographical features. I believe some acquaintances of mine have called us a recreational desert on this side of the state. But yeah, some of that land, it's mostly farmland, privately owned. Again, some of it's been gifted. There's a state park near us that just got a whole bunch of land. I think they're going to get access to
a golf course.
A golf course
that will be able to turn into some running
trails and stuff. So they're working on that. And then we've got a cool kind of bike community that's building trails within the city limits of Sioux Falls, which is the largest city in the state. So we're working on it. We're getting there.
I mean, no, it's exciting. I don't want to sound dismissive at all, right? You are in your place. You call your place home, and you know, you bring your community together. And it's been super exciting over these last couple of months talking to folks from all over the country and world, and how they are excited about bringing the film festival to their communities, but also how the community already exists, right? That's the thing. It's not like we are now somehow the Messiah or bring the greatness, right? I mean, you already have people there. You're already gathering for races. You're already, I hear, signing up for races, not necessarily running. Let's start there.
We're real good at signing up for races.
So you only sign up and don't run them. What's up with that?
Well, I think we have the intention of running them. So like last year we signed up to do the Bighorn Trail Run.
Got this really great mug.
Got a great mug and got a great
you signed up and you got the mug, but you didn't run the race?
No, we
went.
We went out there.
We were on the, what did you call it? The meat truck. We made it to the meat truck. The meat truck took us to like
the meat wagon.
The meat wagon
at the end. It's so again, we're flatlanders on this side. So any elevation is really challenging, and it's a spring race. So we went out to the Bighorns, which is gorgeous and beautiful, and we've run it before. And last year we just, our
life took over.
Our will to train wasn't maybe as what it needed to be, and so we went out there and gave it our all. But
we didn't really give it our all. But South Dakota is very cold, and last year I think it was like -45, -50 for a good stretch of time.
It's real bad.
And like this year we have probably like 22, 24 inches of snow with another 12 to 15 coming in tonight.
Yeah. So it gets challenging to run and train.
With those numbers, I wouldn't have any will to live either. So I
right.
hear you.
No, it's really dark all the time. Yeah. It's just so
drink a lot of coffee, read a lot of books.
Yeah.
Cry occasionally.
Seriously, I mean, I sit here in the Pacific Northwest and it's like 42 degrees, and I'm like 42 plus, and I'm like, I don't want to go running. It's too cold outside. So I can't even imagine trying to survive a winter where you're at.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that means you should be smart then and not sign up for early spring races, right? Because it goes in reverse for us. Like we sometimes sign up for spring races that are in areas that are too hot. Like I've DNF'd Zion because, it's in the desert in like April or something like that in Utah. And I mean, you can't train for the heat in this wet, humid, cold Pacific Northwest, and then you get down and you just like hit a wall and you can't do it. So these spring races can be very, very challenging if you running in a place where it's either the very opposite of what you're training in, or if it is similar to you, but it's just too hard to train, right?
Yeah. The motivation is hard, and the weather.
I'm more apt to sign up for I always do the race here at the farm. Is it August?
It's on Labor Day weekend.
And that's also miserable, but I still do it.
Yeah.
It's miserable because it's too hot then?
It's hot.
And there's no shade. And you run in a 1.75 mile circle for 24 hours.
Yeah, whatever you want to sign up
for. But it's fun.
You see, there is a part to this racing where the finish is not that important, especially if you still get the mug, right?
Right.
No, but it is sort of this adventure personally, but also being part of the community, right? That's why people do it. And I don't think we all have to strive to always finish, right? We have to strive to try to reach our potential maybe, but we don't necessarily have to strive to always this is I need to complete this, I need to compete on all levels, right? I mean, life's already busy enough.
Right. And that's a really interesting thing, because the first, your first DNF, you just think the world's going to end. You're like, oh my God, that's just going to be terrible. And then it's like tearing off a Band-Aid. Once it happens, you're like, what? Oh my gosh.
That's fine.
Whoa, I'm going to get up tomorrow and do the same exact thing I was going to if I had finished, just maybe
less sore.
And
or something
better. Right. But yeah, that first DNF it's a rough one.
It is. I agree. The first one I'm chewing on too, right?
Yeah, right. You still think about it. Mm-hmm.
No, I know. Now I'm thinking maybe I shouldn't sign up for those long distances, but perhaps be a little bit more reasonable with myself. I don't know.
Come on. That's not.
There's no fun in it.
How are you going to get the mug? What?
Well, I know some places you only get the mug if you do finish. So, right? I mean, that's like literally the worst.
Yes, that is. Yeah.
So,
Yep.
you're very relaxed runners. You keep signing up for races, but you also organize races. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about your race organization, because that's funny. If you take it so relaxed for yourself, where does the motivation come from to actually organize these events?
Oh man, that's all Karen. Karen is the queen of races. At one point in time, I think, how many races did you organize around here?
7.
Yeah.
Wow.
7.
Nice.
And I thought my husband was going to leave me. So I had to, just because I am like a giant cheerleader. I think that's what I think that like both Nancy and I, like, we love to bring the community together. We love to see people doing amazing things, and like kind of like probably have more faith in other people than I do in myself.
Yeah, I think that there's some of that where you know, and Karen's races are everything from we organize races from a 5K. I think the Chili Cheeks and stuff is
5K all the way to 50K.
50K.
Or
the
24-hour.
The run that's out here at the farm is a 36, 24, 12, or 6-hour run. So, we've seen distances from a 5K to 150 miles. So and they're on trails, and some are on pavement, and so it's kind of all over the place.
But it's the community.
It's the community, and because of our lack of actual trails around here, we were kind of late to the trail running game in this part of the country, I think.
So I've been here since 2011.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's grown
Yeah.
substantially since we moved here.
I would
but like
agree with
Nancy,
that.
Before I moved here, she'd already been doing bigger races. I mean, she did Leadville before Leadville was cool.
Wow.
And Wasatch before Wasatch was cool.
Right. Wow. Yeah. You could still get into those races, right?
Without a lottery.
Without a lottery. And
in the before times.
In the before times, yes.
We like to say we're the I used to call us something.
Old ladies?
The old ladies ultra. Like
nice.
I mean, we're almost 50.
Yeah. God,
I know. Jesus.
You're not old yet. Come on. 50
right? I know. We're just hitting our prime.
We are hitting our prime. It's prime running. But we've been doing this for, what seems like, I don't know, 12, 15 years.
Yeah. I think, yeah.
So we've really built a community over the last 12 to 15 years.
Yeah. And it's been super fun to see the people that gravitate to it. There's just, everybody has their cast of characters, and we just have some super cool people that we've met over these 15 years that are still doing it. And
we might be slower.
Yeah.
We might be a little heavier. Right. But we just have a great group of people. Yeah. You'll always find Fireball at our aid stations because somebody's got to drink Fireball on some sort of lap at some point in time. I'm notorious for I think I did the 36-hour race out here, and I was mid-sentence talking and I just fell asleep.
Right.
I had no recollection of it whatsoever until somebody posted a picture. I was like, hey, that's me. They're like, you were talking and you just fell asleep. Oh, okay, cool. No idea.
Yeah. You're making a good point, and I can totally connect to that as a fairly new race director. There is something incredibly gratifying seeing other people accomplish their goals and being able to build an environment that gives people joy, that gives people a distraction from their everyday life and let them accomplish something in a safe and welcoming environment is so rewarding that there comes this point where you're like, well, perhaps I'm only putting on races and don't run myself anymore, which isn't very healthy because you still have the course mark. So you need a certain amount of fitness yourself, right? But I mean, there is sort of this thing where it's like, if you run a race for yourself versus organize one and see other people finish, it's infinitely more rewarding seeing people finish races, right? That you conceptualize, that you put on. I mean, it is super rewarding.
Yeah. And we're notorious for being the people that like somebody looks like they've hit the wall or wants to stop. One of us will go and run with them.
Yep.
Kind of keep
Nice.
motivating them.
Yeah. Yeah. You
Lots of times.
Gotta walk them through that. And there is,
Well,
I think like Jess, while off on this last blood run, she was everybody's cheerleader.
Yeah.
And she was awesome. And she's an awesome part of the
community
too. It's just, yeah, it's been really fun to kind of watch it grow, and it'll be interesting to see where it heads.
Yeah. And what South Dakota ultra running looks like is definitely probably different than like other bigger states.
Yeah. Especially on this side of the state.
Yeah. I know one lady, she ran our ultra, and she made some reference that this was more of like a small town, hometown race, like and I was like, it is, but it isn't. We've had people come from all over the US and run our races.
Mm-hmm.
We're just welcoming, and we treat everybody like they're our friend, even if we've never met them before in our entire lives.
Right.
It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's sort of the beauty of our trail running community, that we don't have these hard rules around what a race needs to be. And so you're not overly rigidly focused on getting the exact distance right? It doesn't have to be USATF approved distance, so it can be a qualifier for something, right? You are
right.
And that, I think, allows you as a race director, to be more welcoming and friendly to your runners, but also to be more creative in how you build these races. Like, I love that we as a community increasingly exploring all these different formats that aren't just, this is a 50K and this is a 100-mile, right? I mean, why not sort of be creative and allow different people's different abilities and different ways of connecting, right?
Right. Yeah. And our one other Natalie, who puts on a race with us too, our ultra, she also hosts one of the backyard events. So that race is totally, a totally different concept, which is, again, it's very cool. And to see people get out there and do that, it's amazing.
So you're saying Labor Day, you're doing a race out on farm, a 36-hour race. I mean, for these type of events, you definitely need private land, because the permits for these insane times, right? Even the last person standing, right, where you don't know how long the race is going to be. Doing that on public land is super difficult or super expensive. So tell me about the farm, because that's where the film festival is going to be, right?
Yeah. So and we're pretty excited about all of it. The farm is where I, Nancy, live. We've been out here for 13 years. The race, I think, has been around. This might be its ninth year.
I think it's its ninth year.
And it started out as a 12-hour run, I think. A 12-hour,
6 and a 12-hour
run. And there were like 5 people that ran the first year, and then we just kept doing it. We kept moving it around to different dates and stuff. But a few years ago we settled on Labor Day, and that's kind of where it's going to stick. And then because our community was asking for these longer races, on this side of the state there isn't a 100-mile race. And so we were like, well, okay. Then we upped it to 24 hours. And then, 3 years ago, COVID maybe.
It was COVID year.
It was COVID year. We upped it to 36 hours because there were those people that wanted to get 100 miles in.
But 24 hours.
But 24 hours wasn't. I don't know why I didn't just make it 30, because we're pretty flat. But 36 hours has got a nice ring to it. And what the hell? I don't need to sleep. So, and in the last probably 3 years, I would say the race has gone from, 5 people participating 9 years ago. And I think last year we had 65 people from, 8 different states, and a family came down from Canada and ran with their little dog. The farm sits on 30 acres. When I'm not doing a race out here, I grow vegetables.
She's an organic vegetable farmer.
Yeah, vegetable
I was
farmer.
I was going to ask about it. I'm glad you bring it up.
Yeah.
That we're not just talking about the race. Let's talk about the farm before we diving more into the race. So you have a vegetable farm out there.
We
Amazing.
have a vegetable farm.
The farm is my favorite place in the entire world. And I like to say that it's magical here. I love everything about the farm, from the barn that they redid to Pearl, the deer, to all the animals. Like, it is like my favorite place in the entire world. So Nancy can never move off of the farm or Karen will have a nervous breakdown.
Right.
Because where would I go and hang out with animals and eat pizza and run in circles for hours?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. We, go ahead.
So if you say you've had the farm only since for 12 years, what made you get, I mean, farming and land is hard, right? I mean, it's a big decision. And, you know, in today's world of farming, monoculture, giant corporations, they're like, how do you make that decision? Where do you find land? Talk me a little bit through the process.
You know, and that's a really interesting story in and of itself, because we weren't farmers before that. We this goes down a whole rabbit hole. Okay, so my husband and I lived in Sioux Falls. We had jobs. I was a teacher, and then I worked at a science center, and he owned a small manufacturing company, and then sold it to a larger company who then immediately kind of closed it. So he was living the summer of Jeff, as we like to call it, and he needed to find a purpose. And we had been avid runners. He's the one that got me into trail running. He was the one that told me about Leadville, 25 years ago. And we had done that. That was kind of what we did. We went and traveled and ran races. And then he got injured and couldn't run anymore. So he took up a different hobby, which was sailing, which is also kind of crazy because South Dakota is landlocked.
I was just going to say, I was like, wait, sailing? Where did you say you were?
Right. So there is a reservoir down in Yankton where they dam up the river. And he went out to San Francisco and learned how to sail with a friend of his. And then during the summer of Jeff, we kind of decided that we needed to find a focus, find a purpose. And we were both kind of flailing around a little bit. So we decided to sell everything and move on to a sailboat. And from there, the sailboat was out in San Francisco. So we sailed it down and spent a lot of time down in Mexico. We were going to circumnavigate, but then we almost sank the boat while it was tied to a dock. Which again,
sorry, I'm not supposed to be
laughing.
I know,
right? Like, how do you do this? So
Andrew got robbed by pirates.
Well, that was a different time, but we were out for about a year, and then decided that the sailing life was great. You're always in a tropical location. You're going into these beautiful areas all the time, but there really wasn't a lot of sense of community because you're transient. And so we came back to South Dakota. We didn't have jobs. This was right during the recession, kind of right after the recession. So, jobs were kind of scarce, and we were like, well, if we get to pick what we're going to do, we know we want to be outside. And we know we want to do something that makes us feel good. So we thought we should grow vegetables. So we found this piece of land. I know, you're giving me that look.
I love this crazy zigzag of like, we're going to live on a tiny little boat with like no space, completely underwater we're going to be farmers. It's like the exact polar opposite, right?
Exactly. But I was really craving land. So I grew up on a farm. So it took us a while to find a place that was appropriately sized, because in South Dakota, the average size of a farm is about 1,500 acres. And we didn't need that many. We couldn't afford that many. So we found this farm that had been owned by it had been in the same family since it was homesteaded. And the guy that lived here died when he was 82. He was a bachelor. And so we moved out to the farm on April 1st in 2011 and have been here ever since. But the kind of the idea of bringing everything that we like about life out here included that running component. That was my husband's idea. He's like, we should do a race out here. We should do a one, because we have this little path around the farm now that's 1.5 miles. That's what people run on for the blood run. We call it the blood run. Our farm is called the Good Earth Farm. And 2 years after we moved out here and called it the Good Earth Farm, the state renamed a state park, which was called Blood Run, the Good Earth. So now there's Good Earth State Park that's about 20 miles away from us, which is also the same name as our farm.
Yes.
So then we were going to be cheeky, and we named our farm the Blood Run at the Good Earth, and they are the Good Earth at Blood Run. You know, yeah, we're just
okay.
You know,
I'm with you.
Okay, yeah, it didn't cause any confusion. It's still right. So, yeah.
So she grows vegetables.
Yeah, so I grow vegetables,
and she sells them.
Yep. So we
well, I
operate
mean,
a CSA.
I would hope so, because just growing them wouldn't really make sense, right?
Right.
So do you do have like a farmer's market stand? Do you have CSA? Like, how do you sell them to co-ops? Or
yeah, we do a CSA. And then just last year we started doing like wood-fired pizzas from the vegetables that we grow out here. And then over the years we've taken in some farm animals. So those guys are always a big part of what goes on out here too. And if you look at the Blood Run like event photos, Harold, our 1,000-pound pig, is in everybody's finisher photo. He loves to take his picture. He's literally a ham. Loves the attention of being in the finisher photos. And
so does T-Bone.
Pearl
is the deer. So a lot of their animals that are out here are rescues. Mm-hmm. Pearl was brought to them 2 years ago.
This will be her 3rd year here.
Her mom had been hit by a car in town, and some kids had her tied up on a rope and were dragging her through the neighborhood.
Yeah, this is a little fawn.
And this is a little tiny deer. Now she's here and she's had a baby.
Yeah. She actually ran across the start line with runners during the 6-hour run a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It was
amazing.
Totally wild.
I mean, it does sound very magical. I have to say, right?
And they have weddings out here, and they've just really grown over the years.
Yeah. So
it's like with the animals around. It sounds like a Disney story here.
Yeah, it's kind of what it is. But it's
magical.
It's clearly a reflection of the people who come out here, and the kind of people that support us, and the race is one of those things. It's so fun. People can camp out here because we have plenty of land, so they come out the day before and then they stay all weekend, which is really nice. We're about 20 miles from Sioux Falls, so we're not too far from the population. But it's a fun race atmosphere, and we love having people out. So
it's brilliant. I've been watching this show on Netflix, and this is like my personal rabbit hole, and all my listeners who are expecting trail running talk, they probably roll their eyes back now. There's a show on Netflix called Cook Along, and it's a show about South African farmers, and there is a sort of a South African celebrity, I don't know, DJ or whatever, and he meets someone, and they have a local chef that tells them what ingredients they need to get from various farms in South Africa. And then they drive and they, they go to a bee farmer and they learn how honey is made, and they go to an ostrich farmer and pick up ostrich meat, right? And so they go to like all these places and connect with the farmers. And so, you talking about your farm makes me, because I've been watching the show now, to think about all of these farming questions, which is like amazing. No, because I mean, there was been this revolution. I don't know if it's a revolution is the right word. Is of bringing farms, small scale farming back to America, but the trend is going all into this sort of corporatizing, mass production stuff. And for you to take something on with no real background, and you just have not really empty land. It used to be a farm, right? But in a sense, it's a huge undertaking, and it's a huge, where do you get seeds from? What grows where, right? These creating this sense of place by understanding your land is something so important. And for me, as somebody coming from Europe, we have so much more established locations because farmers have been grandfathered in for hundreds of years in certain areas, right? And there's sort of a different way. But over here, everything feels newer. And so for you to establish your place and make it a place, it's so important for the community. Practically, you sell them food, right? But you make good food. But then also for you, the way you're describing how it becomes your magical place, right? How you visit a farm and it becomes your home. It's fantastic.
Yeah, well, thanks. Yeah, we kind of like it.
I like it here.
It's great because, out here in the West, especially when races are on public lands, it's actually hard to create a sense of play, right? Because these races are on trailheads that are, you have to sort of put up everything. You have to put up your aid stations and your course marking and stuff, and everything becomes transient, right? Everything gets put up in 24 hours. It's back down, right? And people who run the same race over and over again, they develop this sense of place, but it's never your trail. It's never sort of your place, right? But with you with the race being on your land, you can establish a continuity and that no other race can really offer, which is amazing, right?
Right. And that we also put on a race at the end of October out at a state park that's about 20-ish miles from here. And it's because of the atmosphere that we're used to here at the farm, we bring that same atmosphere, or we try to, out to that state park. We literally have to rent trucks and stuff to bring all of our stuff. So it's a huge effort in order to put that race on. And we just have one aid station. It's a figure 8 loop.
But people come for the aid station.
People come for the aid. We have a good time. Don't get me wrong. But just the effort that goes into, bringing all of that stuff out there and creating that event is it's a lot, exhausting. And to think about putting on like a point-to-point 100-miler, like that gives me anxiety. Like, how does that, the people that do that, bravo. That's amazing.
I just talked to Steve Aderholt, who is the race director for the Cocodona 250, and we just talked about that, right? It's like I asked him how many permits he needs, and I'm like, Steve's episode's going to post today's and yours next week, so the listeners who previously listened will know the answer already. So you have to guess. So you've got a 36-hour race, which is a 1.5-mile loop on your farm, private land. Guess how many permits Steve needs for Cocodona 250?
Oh,
50.
I would say probably 15.
86.
Stop.
I was close. Not even.
No, I was like, there's no way.
Yeah.
Well, because if you think about it, 200 miles, you don't know how long that's going to last. And so you're going to have to get it for several days. And depending on where it's at, like how many, like our one we put on in the state park, we only have to get one permit.
But
but it's for 12 hours.
Yeah. It's crazy, right? And he obviously creates a completely different story in letting people sort of run through these lands, right? And run on trail. And I'm not pinning one against the other, of course, right? But sort of having this permanence, right? I mean, you can rent and put an aid station together, but you can't bring the pig out, right? The pig is the resident of the farm, right?
Right. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, there's a few things that they do at this race that, no other race does. Like when you cross every time, because it's a loop course, every time you cross the start line, you get a marble in a jar. And so your finish, you get a jar of marbles with however many laps you ran.
Right. That's your finisher.
That's your finisher award. Or one year we all got a box of vegetables.
Right.
Or we got swan gourds. Because she was overrun.
I grew the awards.
Yeah. I mean, there's just things that you can do when this is your land that you can't do at those other places. And that's why it's magical.
Yeah.
No, it is.
There you go.
It really is. It's fantastic. No, I've been absolutely loving hearing all these amazing communities and how they run, right? The running, the very simple activity of just putting one foot in front of the other, not needing a whole bunch of gear and stuff, is what combines us. And yet at the same time, everybody sort of interprets it in their own way.
Yeah.
So now you bring the film festival out to the farm. So Ham the pig, I don't know, is that the pig's name, Ham? Or is he just
Harold?
Harold the pig. Yeah. Harold the pig is going to be part of the trail running film festival, which is like amazing. So tell us what you're planning, what you're envisioning. I want to be part of this. I mean, I can't physically, sadly, but I want to be part of this. This sounds amazing.
Yeah. So we're hoping, because we do have record snow this year, we're hoping that a lot of it's gone by Earth Day. Yeah. We're actually, our film festival is on Earth Day, which is kind of fitting, we thought, for us. It's going to be a wild spring out here. I'm hoping that we want to do a beer mile prior to, which we can just hop over onto a gravel road. That's not too far from us to do that if we need to.
We reached out to our local brewery that kind of like is our go-to for all our races.
Yes.
Wood Grain. They're going to provide beer. Our local running store is involved, our run club. Pretty much we're going to do beer mile, probably have some sort of food, whether it's wood-fired pizzas, and then maybe a raffle. But really, I think people just want to come and hang out and like watch. So during the years of COVID, or the year of COVID, it seems like an eternity. I had watched the Trail Film Festival from the comfort of my own home, and I loved it. And so when I got the email that you were looking for locations, like literally the first thing I thought of was like, oh, we got to have this at the farm, because that's just where we do our things. And it's where the people come to hang out. Even if it's 20 miles from home, they don't care, because they'll run, we'll have camaraderie, laughs, a fire, no pig roasting, but like pictures with the animals and just hang out.
Yeah. So we, in 2020, in that January, we renovated or like repurposed one of the barns on the property, or the barn. So it's an 1897 barn that's been restored, and that's where we're going to watch the film. Hopefully it's warmish. So
it'll be fine.
It'll be fine.
It'll feel warm. 30 degrees right now feels warm. So
exactly, right? You're coming from a record cold winter, so by the time April comes around, everybody will be like, "This is fine."
Yeah, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. Yeah, but I think we're just everybody's eager to get together and talk about what they're doing this summer, and races that they've signed up for or that they want to do, and it's fun to hear war stories about the races that you did in the fall and all that fun stuff. So we're
people are
ready
excited. People are excited.
Yeah.
It's like one of those things.
This sounds absolutely amazing. That sounds absolutely. I know. I keep repeating myself, but I love to hear as somebody. When we had this idea of how the film festival would travel without us physically carrying it, if you will, right? We didn't know what locations it would find a home, and to be able to take your sort of your location and your ingenuity of saying, okay, this can work, right? This is absolutely amazing. I mean, I feel honored that the film festival is going to be part of your place in that sense, right? You are the ones who's built the community up. You're the ones who provides the location, and so I really, really hope that you have somebody who can take great photos, because I would love to be able to share with everyone where the film festival is all going to be experienced, and have the film festival be part of your community. Sounds incredible.
Oh yeah,
you have to send me a photo of your pig. Come on.
Yes. Oh, yeah. It's gonna love it.
That's fantastic. So the Trail Running Film Festival on Earth Day. What day is it again? April
22nd.
April 22nd.
Yep.
At the Good Earth Farm in South Dakota. That is 20 miles out of Sioux Falls, you said, right? So info for all of this is going to be found on our website, trailfilmfest.com. We have a link straight to all of your information. Beer mile. What kind of beer is going to be served at the beer mile?
Well, Wood Grain, our brewer, I don't know if we're going to use their beer or if we're going to slum it.
I mean, it's one of those tricky things, right? I mean, a beer mile needs the shittiest beer, right? So you don't want to
some natural light, some hams,
something that we've been, aging for a little bit. PBR.
Nice.
PBR.
How many people do you think you're going to get together?
Gosh, I don't know. On our we just posted it not that long ago, a couple weeks ago maybe, and there's
I think we have about 10 so far.
We've sold 10 tickets. There's like 70 or 80 people that are interested in it already. We're just starting to put out email blasts through our race channels.
I would like to have like 40 to 50. Maybe that's pretty. No, and I want people that just aren't runners, but just like people that love the outdoors. I want everybody to come.
Yeah, I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I do think so too. I think film connects people. Stories and films, it transcends the basic just kind of information sharing. It's more than just storytelling. I think it's inspirational in a way that even people who have not run trails, who have not been up on a mountaintop or so, can connect with these stories. And so I think there is a broader appeal than just I run trail, therefore I am viewing or participating in a film festival. So I think it's going to be great.
Yeah, and I think because again, the trail running community out here is still relatively new. I mean, it's kind of a fresh thing out here. A lot of communities I think have that, they've had their trail runners that have been around for 30 years, and we haven't, because of the access to true trails, it's something that people are still discovering out here. Yeah. It's something that they can discover, and this is a really easy way to kind of get motivated, and if you are curious about it, to come and see what it's all about, and talk to some of the veterans runners and kind of get involved in that community.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So for you two, you said you are injured and signing up for races. Is anything on the horizon for this year? Anything you signed up for and you're not going to run? I mean, anything that you're serious about?
I'm going to run. I'm running. I am running. So on the other side of the state, West River, is Black Hills, and they do a Black Hills 100. And so I signed up for the 30K.
Nice.
You should go ahead and sign up.
It's an early spring race.
It's an early spring. My training started today, but today was a rest day. My training plan said rest. So
says rest.
I did what it said. I didn't even go to CrossFit this morning. I rested. I'm going to go get a massage and I'm going to rest.
I already have a mug from the Black Hills race. I've run it a couple times, and that is still on my list to run. I just don't think I've got a race in mind for this year, but maybe next year.
And I'll do the blood run, even if I have to walk. I think last year I didn't do it. 2 years ago, I was injured, of course, and I still finished 77 miles, and I walked in flip-flops for a good 20 of them.
Yeah.
So
well, no wonder you're injured. Walking 20 miles in flip-flops would make me injured too.
Well, my chiropractor keeps telling me to stretch and take care of myself. At almost 50, I'm starting to maybe consider listening to him. He'd be very proud of me.
Yeah.
Yes. We'll pass this podcast on to him. She just committed to do more stretching.
Right.
I know. He has noticed I have been doing more stretching.
That's good.
So more self-care.
Yeah.
Apparently that prevents injuries. And my son, he runs all the time, and he will get done running and he'll start stretching and foam rolling. I'm like, wow, whose kid are you? Like, what?
Good
He's
job.
like, well, my coach said, meh. Fine, I'll start doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
That is amazing. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story, for sharing a little bit. I mean, technically we should have recorded it with you, walking around and showing the farm. I really hope we'll get to see some pictures, even though right now everything's covered in snow, right? Well, let's wait.
Covered in snow right now, so yeah.
Aaron, Nancy, thank you so much for coming on Singletrack. This was amazing.
Hey, thank you so much for having us. We feel honored to be in such great company with all of your other podcast interviews.
I know.
Wow. We
kind of feel subpar.
I know.
No. Absolutely don't. That's the whole purpose of this podcast. I really, really don't want to create some kind of weird snooty circle of professional.
No, it's amazing to listen. We listened, and it's just wow.
I know, right? Well, yeah.
And I mean, you guys have all run 100 milers and stuff. You've got battle scars and stories to tell, so don't take that away from you.
We got lots of stories.
We got lots of mugs.
There we go. Well,
thank you.
Absolutely. Before we go, let's share some links. People want to check out the farm. Do you have a website for your farm?
You bet. It is thegoodEarth.us. We are located in Lennox, South Dakota.
Fantastic. And for you, for the racing series, for your races, where can people learn more about? Is there a website? How do people sign up for your races?
They're all on Ultra Sign.
Everything's on Ultra Sign Up.
Mm-hmm.
We're working Facebook.
Yeah, we're really good on social media. We're really good on Instagram.
Okay, what's your Instagram address?
It's Glacier Hills Ultra, I believe.
Mm-hmm. And then the Blood Run also has its own Instagram and Facebook, and some of that stuff is connected to the farm. Some of it's not, but
Glacier Hills Ultra.
We'll make sure we'll have some links in the show notes so people can check out your races and all of your other things. Fantastic. And sign up for CSA, right? Spring is coming.
Yes, that's right. CSA is coming. And you can edit this out if you want, but Karen and I, along with some other random people, we also have the designation of being Wienerman champions.
Oh yeah, we are the Wienerman champions.
It was a hot dog eating contest / road race that we were multi-year champions at. So
Hotness Express was our name.
Yep, we carried that trophy. That was a
giant wiener. A giant hot dog. Giant hot dog.
It was a giant hot dog. So when
You can edit that out.
you can edit that out.
No. I'm upset that you only now share this. We should have led
Right?
that story.
I had forgotten about that designation because again, when I'm thinking of all of these amazing people you have had on your podcast, and then we're like, hey, but have they won the Wiener Man in Laverne, Minnesota?
The answer is no.
No.
The answer is no. You see, I mean, what an honor to be able to talk to people who have won the Wiener Man. So you have to give me a quick overview. What is it?
Okay. So it is just I don't even know if he does it anymore.
It's awful.
It's during like the hottest part of the year, and it's really
July.
gross. And I'm a vegetarian, so they make me eat vegetarian hot dogs, which they don't know how to cook properly, but it's okay. So you start out, you're a team of 4, and it's a triathlon. So again, the math, we're just going to throw that out the window.
Yeah.
But your team of 4, along with all the other racers, you sit down at the beginning and you get 4 hot dogs and buns, and you
have to eat them all.
You have to eat them all, or somebody on your team has to eat them all. And once they're gone, the first person takes off.
I eat them all.
Yes, and they run. And then they get to, it's like maybe they run like a mile and a half, and then they have to eat another hot dog situation. It could be a chili dog or like a hot dog on a donut or something.
Yeah. And then I have to swim.
And then you have to swim. That's the swimming portion.
I usually elementary backstroked. Like it was terrible. Like I thought I was
so bad. And then she tags off, and then somebody else eats a hot dog thing.
And they bike.
And then they bike. That was usually me. I'd bike like 6 miles and then come back. Another person eats some stuff. They run. Then you all get back together. You eat a dessert that has a hot dog theme to it. It's usually like this disgusting gummy thing shaped like a hot dog.
Yep.
So you eat the desserts, and then the 4 of you run to the finish.
It sounds revolting and amazing at the same time.
Exactly. It's all of that in one. It's like 90 degrees. It's usually super humid.
Oh, it's terrible. But we did it.
We did it
for like 4 or 5 years.
We won
consecutively.
Yeah, it's good times. There you go.
Unbelievable. This is like the best story I've ever heard on this podcast. Oh man,
I probably don't have that in Germany. Sorry.
No, well, us Germans, we're good at eating sausages, so I think we would be pretty good at that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, absolutely. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.